Hey guys, Mudslinger2 back again. We're doing a little bit of work on our 2018 Honda Rebel CMX. Show you the bike here a little bit. I right now I'm just mounting a phone bracket and trying to mount a USB port. I had one of the phone brackets that had the four rubber claws that come around the top of the phone, and it had a little spring connector that clipped in the middle. However, I thought that would be my best decision. However, I clipped my phone in there, didn't even have it on the bike yet. I clipped my phone in there once to show myself, once to show my dad, and how secure it was. And the second time that I spread that little clamp, the spring broke. So I could just picture, I don't know what kind of phone you got or how cheap they are, but if you got an iPhone like me, I could just imagine dropping $800 on the street when you hit a bump. So thank God I ordered it from Amazon. So I took that back and I went and got this phone mount, which I think is going to be pretty good. It's all aluminum. It's got a half a cradle, so it only cradles about maybe 2/3 of your phone. But the big part is you have this screw, so you put your phone in there and you screw this down tight on your phone. It clips around the handlebars, and I was able to take my USB port that I have and mount it on the back where the phone clamp goes, the phone mount clamp. And so I drilled out the hole in the USB port in one of the ears so that it would accept this bolt. On the other ear, I actually clipped the ear off so it's square between that bolt and the back of the phone mount. So it's got a cap. You put the cap on, you take the cap off to access the USB port if I want to charge my phone. It's got this really ungodly plug here, and I don't like that. However, it comes with 6 foot of wire. Here's the other side of the plug here. It comes with 6 foot of wire, and on the end of the wire you have a fuse and 2 rings that you can put down on your battery cables. So what I'm gonna do, since I really don't like the plug that's going on here, is we're gonna cut this plug off. Cut the plug off on this side. I'm gonna solder those 2 wires together, and I'm gonna fish it underneath the gas tank here, and right underneath the gas tank and straight back to the battery. And we're gonna run that straight to the battery with no switch or shut off, because basically with a USB, unless something's plugged into it, it shouldn't be drawing power off your battery. So it's not going to drain your battery, and that way it's going to always have power. And as long as you don't have something plugged into it, it's not going to drain the battery on the bike. So we'll get into it, and I'll show you guys as we go. All right. So we have a fish tape. I fished it straight through here. You see where it's going through. Right through the back. Goes underneath the tank. Comes out under here. Going under the frame here. And back to by where the battery is. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the rest of the 6 foot wire. We're going to fish it straight up through there. And then we're going to connect it. What I'm going to do beforehand is I'm going to cut off this plug I don't like this big huge plug. We don't need that. On the bottom of this, we have a fuse. We don't need a plug also. And this keeps me from being able to put a black heat shrink tubing on the top up by the handlebars to make it all blend together. So we're gonna cut this off, pull it through, solder the wires together, and put some heat shrink on there, so everything's fine before you connect it to the battery. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take this heat shrink tubing here. I got some 5/16 heat shrink tubing, and that should pretty much incorporate both of the wires. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of half-ass measure from the front, if I can feed it in there, over by the phone mount. We're going to give it a good amount past where it goes into the fairing, or by the under the gas tank. I'm going to take this. I can get it spread. I'm going to take this, I'm going to feed this in here. Okay, new plan to feed that wire through this heat shrink tubing really wasn't working. So what we're going to do is I fed a piece of string through it all the way to the end. It's not poking out the end now, so we'll feed it through and poke it out the end. The string fed through a lot better than the wire did, because the wires kept wanting to poke through. So what we're going to do now is going to tie the wires on here. Make a knot around the wire, tie it, bend the wire backwards, and then we should be able to just feed the wire through this way. All the way to where we need to go. You gotta remember, a lot of this wire is going to be under the gas tank, and we're not going to see it. But just for the concept of making it look correct and factory fresh, we don't want any wire showing that doesn't have a black heat shrink tubing on it. Okay, we're hitting a little bit of a jam. So we're gonna work our wire back here a little bit, back and forth with what we have. Of course, we got the fuse on here, so that's not making it real easy. There we go. So we'll continue working this wire. We're gonna heat shrink tubing down on top of it. Wouldn't even be able to pull it out on this side. You can see where the heat shrink tubing is. It's kind of getting caught up. Right here. There we go. Let me get this past everything. Pull the tubing down here. And pull the wire up through it. Alright. So we got the wire up through this. So, alright, so we have our wires pulled through here. And what we want to do is we're going to solder them together. They're going to have to be heat shrinked after we solder them together, just so that we don't, nothing's touching anything else. So we're going to take these, pull our heat shrink tubing. We got 1/4 inch instead of 5/16. Take this 1/4 inch heat shrink tubing. We're going to pull it down on top of our wire. Clip this off. Alright, so now we have these 2 pieces of heat shrink tubing that we have over our 2 wires. We're going to feed this up and through here, around, to follow the rest of the wires here. So we're going to get these over here. This put these two wires together. Got a little bit more here. We got the positive wire together. Now we're going to put this negative wire together. I got this negative wire together. Now, pull our heat shrink tubing up. Heat shrink this on top of it. I'll do our positive wire. Alright. So we have the positive and negative soldered together. We got heat shrink tubing over the top of them. What we're going to do now is we're going to pull the large heat shrink tubing all the way to the end here. In order to do that, I have to have a hold on it down by the battery where we have it fished through, and we're going to pull it up slowly until we get enough excess to cover the top here. Okay, so here we are. We have everything pulled over. As you can see in the video, I took a little bit of tubing. Let's shrink this tubing. Play around with the lighter this time. bottom here. Shrink this. Careful so we're not heating up anything that should be heated up. And then the rest of this is going to get pulled back in back here where we have our battery connectors. So we'll take all of our slack out of that, pull this back in, we'll connect that to the battery. So now we have a USB port up by the handlebars by our phone mount where we can run our phone and not worry about our battery dying. Hit the like button down on the bottom. I'm sure this was useful because I could not find an aux cord anywhere on this bike. When I looked online, I had to do a lot of looking on forums and whatnot to be able to find the aux cord. And we'll do that on our next video. But we fished a USB all the way up to the handlebars, and so we're good for a phone. Hit the like button. Remember, loud pipe save lives. Be good.